Tom, I'm keen to get your thoughts on this guy. He has had a huge impact on our club. Back in our Bexley days, Bexley Vice President, Bexley Life member, and I believe you did cross paths with him, Peter Westwood.
Peter, yes. A stalwart for the club that is just like when I said that Alan Cox and Bill Edmonds were the president and treasurer. Peter was the secretary when I first came to the club. But unlike Alan and Bill, Peter was still playing.
Yes.
He was a left-handed opening bat. He was playing in second grade and still scoring runs. I'm sure he scored over 5,000 for the club. But everyone knew Peter Westwood in the clubs that we played against. And he was a joy to be with both on and off the field.
Yep.
I would say he sort of set a standard because I followed him as the secretary. And I think he'd done it for 25 years when I took over the reins from him. And I can recall that we had a celebration of his 25 years as the secretary at Kingsgrove RSL when I took over. And it was a well-attended occasion, and we presented him with a picture that I think it's Tom Roberts painting the cricketers. And they're playing cricket against a country pub wall. And that leads me into the next sad tale, but Peter lived at Como, still does. I believe he's in his 90s. Peter, I knew where he lived, and I'd been to his place for pick up gear or whatever. And before I retired, I worked for the Department of Social Security, and we had bushfires in the early 90s.
Yes.
Ravaged Sutherland Shire in the main.
Yep.
Other parts of Sydney, of course, but part of my role in the disaster relief that came under the umbrella of who I worked with was to provide cash payments for those persons that had suffered a loss because of the bushfires. And I heard it on the grapevine in the early days of the recovery that Peter had lost his house. And I heard that from one of the girls who actually was working on the task with me because she lived next door to him. Her house didn't get affected whatsoever, but his house was burned to the ground.
Yeah,
and
terrible shame.
So sad. Anyway, however, as it turned out, Peter did have a remaining back shed on his property, and basically that's all he had left. But he went into the back shed and found, amongst other bits and pieces, all the club records going back to the beginning of 1929. So we took great delight in thinking that our club had survived the bushfire.
Yes.
Those reports are just pristine to our history.
Yep.
And it was the fate, such a sad fate. I had much pleasure in going to the opening of his new house that got built.
Beautiful. But is the shed still there?
I believe so. Yeah. But Peter, I learned a lot from Peter. A fabulous guy, happy-go-lucky guy, and from what I can gather, I didn't play much with him, but a very good opening bat. I believe he still holds the opening record for first grade.
Okay. Kev, Peter Westwood?
Yeah, well, Peter was the club secretary when I first started, and he was there for 4 or 5 years, I suppose, before he, my first 4 or 5 years with the club. So we brought him along to the presentation night a couple of times. He liked to drink and had the club records for years and years. And I'm sure Tom has told the story with the bushfire, and luckily we're lucky to still have the records. the tin shed survived.
Survived,
where the house didn't.
Yeah.
But well, a fellow that was secretary of the club for 20 odd years, and played for
25 years. Yeah.
25 years club secretary. So many years playing, and still has an interest in the club. So we might try and get him along a bit more. I'm sure he'd be interested to see the changes down there at Bexley, whether he thinks they're for the better or not. But every club needs someone like him, and the others that were there for a long time. Bill Edmonds and Ken Grant is another one. These are all names I don't know. I vaguely remember meeting them once, maybe twice, but you look through the records and you see someone that's prepared to be at the club and be an office holder for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
There's something good about them, that's for sure.
Maybe if I can ask about yourself, so with your time, so you played over 20 years are these numbers right, from 49, 50 up to 71, 72? Is that about right?
Yeah.
Year playing days, and then you were secretary for 5 years, and again chatting with Tomo, he was saying as far as a secretary is concerned that he was very passionate. You set the standard for all secretaries. You were the benchmark for secretaries for what you've done for the club.
No, Warwick was the secretary. Yeah.
Really? You ran Warwick.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hands down.
Really? No. Well, I think for the impression
but
you left everybody
it
else.
was something I always wanted to do.
Yes.
Because I worked in clerical all my life, so and I like writing and and I like getting involved with people.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people through cricket, including the cricketers.
Yes.
I got friendly with the Burwood mob.
Okay.
Now there's a club.
Yeah, and we're strong rivals with Burwood.
Very strong club.
Yeah. Always have been.
Yeah, I was never in a team that beat Burwood in all the years I played. So
really?
I remember one match we had the runs on the board and we had them 7 for 70 or something. We had 180 on the board. We'll get this lot. The tail end
really
on and
snuck over the line
and beat us. Yeah, beat us comfortably actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had a few off-field encounters with the Briar boys.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and of course they had a union team too. They played union and hockey in the winter.
Yep.
So very involved. They had some real good sportsmen.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Bats and bowlers. Yeah.
Gotcha. Can I ask you? So, what are some of the memorable people that you played with when you started? So, who are some of the players that maybe you looked up with, or maybe your early captains?
Yeah, Warwick was always good, and Harry, of course.
So Warwick Geets, Harry Milburn.
Yeah. I got and Bill. Yeah. And my first captain was Alf Randall.
Yes, I saw his name in the annual reports quite a bit.
Alf was a victim of the Depression.
Right.
Like many were in that time, and Alf would have been he was married with a family, lived over at North Bexley. He used to tell me stories about in the Depression, they couldn't get a job, there was no work.
Yes.
And they used to go down the park and play cricket with an old ball or a tennis ball wrapped in something. Yeah. And so they were still able to play. Yeah. He, a particular day, I remember we played at Birchgrove over at Balmain, not on the oval. There's a ground next to it with the water in the background there,
Right.
and it was a one-day match, and we batted first. I was out for no score, so I umpired, because in those days we all umpired ourselves.
Yes.
So I umpired through the innings. Alf scored a century, Harry got a 50, Keith Trotter Keith was the bowler. No, when they batted, Alf took a hat trick.
Right.
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 And Keith got 3 or 4 wickets. So again, I was in the field all day, and it was a hot day too.
It's a hard match.
That's a feat not often done, I would imagine.
It's a long day when you get it dark and then you spend all the rest of the time in the field. It's a long day.
Yeah. Not as long as the one up in Pennant Hills. You played there.
Yes.
In the dish.
Yes.
The hottest day I've ever felt in my life. And we fielded all day, of course. It was
Really?
fearful.
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
What are some of the innings that you can think back? Maybe you've got memorable innings or memorable times, maybe at Bexley, that you can think back upon?
Oh, of course, it was a great day when Kingsley Osborne and I set the record, 175 for the opening partnership.
Yes.
Yeah. Kingsley scored as I say, Kingsley scored the 100, I scored the 75. Yeah, we played against Roseville, and they had a fast bowler whom I was very friendly with, Alan Young.
Right.
He was pretty quick, Alan, but he tended to be a bit wayward,
Yes.
Yeah, and Kingsley played a lot of second grade with St George, and he scored a lot of runs for them. A good bat, classic bat,
Yes.
stylish, and he only came back. He left back, retired from grade, and came back to play with his brother, Frank.
Okay.
Frank Osborne.
Yes.
Frank was playing with us. Yeah.
Saw his name a lot. Yes.
Yeah. Frank was a good bowler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a good day. For once, I must have played straight bat for a while.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a good day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was lots of good days, isn't there? There was a bloke called Jock Webb.
Yes. Saw his name a bit as well. Yes.
Excellent bat, Jock. And Cooper. Brilliant Cooper. He could have gone and played grade as his keeping. Quick as a flash.
Really? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, he was sometimes too quick for the umpire.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Bows off in a flash.
yeah. Anyway, there was one particular day we were playing, who was it? Lindfield. Yeah, Lindfield. And I was having trouble with this bloke. I wasn't sure what he was doing, and it was only a matter of time. And Jock walked down to me and said, I see you having trouble, Pete, with him. And I said, yeah, I am. He said, well, next ball, get a bat to it or not, and take off. I'll make it.
Yeah.
And he did. I never faced that bowler again, and after 3 overs, they took him off.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Nice. Very nice.
And I went on. I scored a few that day. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So things like that.
Yes.
And you see that in the Test cricket too. With the good bat nurses the other fella.
Yeah.
And of course, the basic thing is, don't try and do anything. You just keep it out or nudge one and
just get some bat on it.
I'll take over. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's yeah. On my career with them, the year I joined, they had a team in the playing in the juniors. They were trying to get a team to play in the juniors, and of course the juniors played their season started about 3 weeks before the Shires. And what they did to get a team registered, they registered 3 or 4 of the cricketers from the Shires. And of course, when the grading committee looked at these names, they said, "Oh yeah, they're good," and they put us in a fairly high grade. It was more than fairly high; it was bloody too high.
Right.
And must have been the first match, second match. Anyway, there was a left-hander bowling on the concrete, with the matting.
With the matting on, yes.
Oh, I couldn't handle that. He came straight in at me and hit me, and because I knew nothing about wearing a baton protector. Nobody told me that,
Right.
And he got.
Right.
I spent the rest of the day laying on my back.
Oh, he got you fair and square, did he?
Oh, I thought I was going to die.
Oh no, Peter, that's terrible. It's a terrible story.
Yeah. Anyway, that was that season. We struggled through that, and the next season we had enough players without registered, and we meet the first day, and Eric Bates had
Yes.
taken over the control. He'd stopped playing, and he said, "I'll look after this team of newcomers." So we all meet there, and he said, "All right, now who wants to open? Who's an opener?" Of course, nobody volunteered, and so he said, "Oh, okay. We'll bat in alphabetical order." Because his name was Bates.
Yes,
And
okay.
I'm down the other end.
Yes.
I thought, oh, this is all right. There was even a bloke called Evan Weatherhead. So he batted in front of me. So I batted number 11. So he said, because we got skittled, and he said, all right, in the second innings, we'll reverse the order. So I managed to score a few runs. So
Yeah.
that's how I became an opener.
That's how you became an opener.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I thought to myself, I like this, first up, they're all fresh. And then, of course, there was a story I told at my farewell. Beautiful sunny day at Bexley. For once we had a bit of money in the kitty. I was secretary. I bought all new pads and gloves.
Yes. Yep.
And 3 or 4 new bats.
Yes.
Even bought a new set of stumps.
Yep.
Right? Here was beautiful sunny day. We win the toss. We're opening. Beautiful. Oh, today I'll score 200 today. First ball. I missed that.
Oh no.
And somebody said, how's that? And I turned round and one bail. It just tipped the bail.
Oh.
And of course the
No.
story was, here I am in all this brand new gear and not a mark on any of it.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's cruel.
I dine out on that one.
Yeah.
In the early days, money was a problem because nobody had any money. It was the 50s. We'd recovered from the recession, but nobody had a car.
As you're saying, everyone got on their own steam.
Yeah.
Everyone made their own way to the ground.
Yeah. And then gradually we got a few cars and meet up the top and up at Bexley on the corner of Bexley Road. And
Yep.
get a lift to wherever you're going.
Yeah.
But you know, we're always struggling to get money just to buy the gear. you
Yeah.
know, even though it was relatively cheap. And I remember one year they at our committee meeting they said, "Oh, you know, Bill was doing the finances, and what's the secretary's expenses, Pete?" I said, "Nil." He said, "Nil?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "My sister does all my typing for me. I do all my phone calls from work because I work in the public service."
Yeah.
So, and you know,
Beautiful.
I bought a few things myself, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but nothing much. I had a bit of money, so
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I always remember that. Committee said, "Oh, good, that's good."
So I bet you made Bill as a treasurer very happy.
Yeah. Oh, there's one other thing I was going to say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So they had these certificates printed,
Yeah.
right? So you know, they stopped playing for themselves and played
Yes.
for the team.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. Look at that. 258.
No, that's a good
Doesn't
season.
tell me how many innings it took me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mate, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for
No trouble.
inviting me to your home and
No.
sharing some of these memories.
Now,